Hello to my special shipmates. Thank you for joining me here today. I have only done one video so far in the Composer's Thoughts on Craft series. This one is going to cover philosophy. It's also going to cover the terrain of rhythm, which I wrote about in my last blog, which you will have some of the text for and the links to read the full blog article. And of course, moving on into form. So form is the number 4 in this series. The previous ones were beginning with melody, then on harmony, on rhythm, and on form. And before we progress any further, I just wanted to read you a beautiful passage from this. Okay, the inner chapters, classic Taoist text. Here we go. I'd like to read you a short passage from classic Taoist text, the inner chapters, by, I don't know how to pronounce it, Chuang Tzu, not Lao Tzu, Chuang Tzu. So, this is sort of almost about, one could say, the music of heaven and earth. For most people, it can be compared to hearing the music of people, yet not being able to hear the music of the earth. Or it is like hearing the music of the earth, but not being able to hear the music of the heavens. Please tell me more, asked Yen Cheng. Well, said his friend, it is like this. When the great clump of the earth emits a vaporous breath, we name it the wind. As long as it is still, we hear nothing. Then once the wind begins to blow, all the hollows of the earth begin to sing and moan and bellow forth. In the mountains there are all sorts of clefts and hollow spaces that the wind blows into, and many kinds of sounds come flying out. Might as well call this a blooper file. And deep within the forest there are great and ancient trees whose limbs scrape against each other, and whose trunks also have hollows that the wind plays like a great horn. And all sorts of moans and creeps and scraping sounds come forth. It is as though these mountains and these forests have mouths to sing with, as well as noses and ears. There seems to be bowls and holes, cups and mortars, puddles and pools. And it just goes on in that way. It's very beautiful. And just to conclude, if I understand you then, said Yen Cheng, what you have been describing is the music of the earth. I think that when you mean by the music of the people is the sound of the bamboo flutes that are played at festivals and ceremonies. What then is the music of the heavens? Ah, said Su Chi, perhaps we can think of the music of the heavens as that force that allows the 10,000 things to each put forth their own music without interference from above. These sounds each come forth on its own, because it is in its nature to do so. They do not need to be ordered or to be inspired to do so. It is their true nature to do so, and so they do. Yes, very beautiful indeed. So here's a lovely little passage. So rhythm. Rhythm is everything. Rhythm's the foundation for music. It's the boat that helps to carry melody along through time. It is with form, like a scaffolding, that is the prime organizing force for everything. So when we talk about rhythm, I think we need to go beyond just a da 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 on guitar, or a 1 2 3 4 on drums, or whatever it be, and think about the actual frequency content and the oscillation, the nature of cyclic recurrence itself. And a lot of what the Call of Omar is hinting at is these larger cycles of time, and one could call them a greater rhythm, a rhythm of the cosmos, a rhythm of the earth on its journey around the heavens, which is what the precession of the equinoxes is. And the Call of Omar presents this story of civilizational decline at a previous era in prehistory, like, 12,000 years ago sort of thing, during the last ice age. So it's looking back through the mists of time, through the great cycles. And cycles repeat. You see this in a lot of the Hindu references to the yugas or the ages. They put astronomical dates on very long periods of time, which personally I don't agree with. I think there's too many zeros on them. And they talk about them in much different terms. But the essence of it all is that return is an eternal cycle. Ascent and decline is a return cycle. And that all things have their beginning and their end, It's a Genesis cycle. It's the yin and yang. It's always dancing together. So Omar is telling this story of what happened before and what may come again. So specifically back to music, rhythm. The rhythms of the Call of Omar are in the 2/4, 4/4, 6/8 domains so far. I'm not sure if I have any 3/4. Let me see. I have this little page here with rhythms and tempos. So tempo, in a way, is sort of like a subset of rhythm. It's related to rhythm, but it takes rhythm more into the realm of feeling and being. So it's the driver that regulates, The rhythm can be anything, or and the tempo, the speed, is what really gives movement its dynamism and moves it along. So form is more. It's more the bones that the flesh get put on, and the flesh is the harmonic arrangement, the instrumentation, the arpeggios, the ostinatos, the melodic content that sits over the top of the form. So depending on the genre of music, you're going to have an expression of form with repetition and variation elements. You're going to have a beginning and introduction. You might call that an A section. You'll have a verse type structure. You might have choruses if it's music with lyrics. But even instrumental music has the organizing aspect of form. One of my favorite composers in the whole wide world, who I just grew up with and just adore, is John Williams, right? And you can hear very easily in his music the same sort of structural bones as you'll find in pop music, yet it's orchestral score, So I'm not sure quite what they call the sections of music as they repeat in orchestral music. It is something that I really want to find out more about and research, because within the classical domain there's so many different traditional names for types of music, and I'd have to go to my music dictionary to tell you what they are. One day I should share you my musicology bookshelf. It's actually a great pride and joy, and it's something that I've been referring to in these texts with certain references, mainly in the first article, which was on melody, but I've sort of come back away from the academic a bit more. So anyway, I have good news. I've written a few more tracks, and would you like a behind the scenes snippet at the age before? Let's have a look. Hey there. So where we're at with the composition process is the Call of Omar is written, Universal Ocean is written, Journeys has got some additional instrumentation. I might re-record the voice for that though, and I just need to make the aesthetic sit within the domain of the other tracks. Mitochondrial DNA, it's written, but I'm not fully happy with it. Come Back just needs the voice doing. The Age Before is what I've just finished. So I have Only Stories Remained and Foundation and Summons yet to do. And of course it features I Am Song of the Earth. So 2 tracks to go. And then I am going to be praying for some help to finish this, because I have a lot of bills coming in this year and I've just lost 2 jobs. So I'm going to be a bit anxious. Anyway, let's have a look at this session. Let you have a little listen, and we'll talk about the form within this. So one thing that I find really good as an organizing factor is essentially to keep the maths even. Like, even though something like a half bar or 1 bar introduction or start before a section can work, the human brain has a thing for pattern recognition, right? It likes to click in on things and find the pattern, and my brain's no exception. Like, I fully trance out when I write my music. So we've got sections here that I've done. Oh, I don't need to do that. Instrument by instrument, and just built it up. So from bar 5 to 21. So it's a 16 bar section that repeats. Then you've got an alternation basically of 2 parts with 1 part string section that repeats throughout the whole. Then what do we have? We have another string section here which has some variation from bar, almost like an ostinato sort of repetitive part from bar 5 to 53. So that's a 48 bar repetitive. It's not a loop, but it sort of acts like a loop. And then it has a shorter section, that 53 to 69. So a 16 bar segment. Then we go further down on 4, which is a beautiful, it's one of Reason or Propeller Head's prime synthesizers. They have awesome timbres. You can get in and you can tweak it all and really get behind it. I'll show you Thor. So it's rack. It's not much to look at there, but if you go Show Programmer, I don't know how much of that you can see, but come over here, you can see all this can be tweaked. So there's low pass filters, delay mechanisms, low frequency oscillators, modulation envelopes, multi oscillators, all sorts of mapping you can do down here. You've got a sequencer that you can run down here, like pattern 16 step sort of pattern, and you can choose what you're actually activating there, sort of velocity, notes, curve. Personally, I've never gone right down there, but I do like to get in here sometimes. But I also like specific timbres and don't always change them. So zipping ahead into the future, the next one is going to be on instrumentation, then on timbre. And timbre is something that I love with an absolute passion. So I'll take you into timbre in depth with that one, because I'm only doing these videos every 2, and they're only for you. When we get through all, how many of them is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is it 15 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 15. Yeah, when we get through all 15 of them, then I might make them available to the public. But until then, they're just for you. Just for you, because you've taken the time to journey with me and click the link. And I do hope that you watch it. And I hope that there's something, whether you're a musician or just a layperson, that it helps you to think about music, maybe in a different way, maybe to learn something. Because there is no right or wrong way to write music. There is just writing music, like playing. You know, I say to my students, there's no right or wrong way to play. There's just playing. And you begin playing by actually rejuvenating that childlike spark and just sitting there and going dum ba dum ba dum dum, and see where you go. You know, it's just a journey, and you've got to follow the sound current and see where it takes you. So anyway, let's go back to sequencer. So we have a bass section here. How about we just have a listen to a few things in solo? Why am I not hearing anything? Everything's on. Alright, hang on a sec. Let's okay. It's gonna be difficult. I'll put it on. Delete that section. Okay, so we have a bass instrument section here. 16 bar repetitive section. It's just the foundation. It's pretty much the same bass section throughout the whole thing. We have a smaller 4 bar little drum loop that repeats, and towards the end of this track is where I've got a little track that's actually on YouTube called Look to the Heavens, which is a little tune about major calamity about to befall the earth. So I have to record acoustic drum to go with that, hand drum, which I've actually got here under a pile of books. I'm not going to move them because I'll make a mess. And the song. So I've got to record the song that goes with that. I've got to re-record all the voice for this. I've got to re-record the voice for everything because I've only done a guide track on a Shure mic, and that's not going to cut it. Then we have pizzicato strings down here. I do like them, and I've always had the fantasy about working with an orchestra, so I really love these timbres. And this whole orchestral fantasy first came about in the late 90s with a improvisation that I did 1997, I think it was, either late 97 or early 98. I was living in a little bungalow down in Seaford, and this piece just blew my mind. And I had all these images of, of orchestra and all this other stuff. And to this day, I'm still trying to work on recreating that track to a sufficient level. And it's what's meant to be on the Giza Plateau, which is another sort of concept EP, which I haven't finished, with 4 or 5 tracks. I really have to finish that. It was just like huge church organ sound and this whole epic sort of thing. Yeah, so it's got lead piano section with a few. Are they? They're not all the same. So they're 69 to 85. Again, they're the 16 bar segments. So this is the form element coming in, form, the repetition, the variation. We've got other strings down here, just sort of a whole section improv that doesn't repeat. Some interesting sound timbres that come in, which I've used in one of the other tracks, so I wanted to thematically link it together. For it to be an effective journey, it's got to be linked harmonically. It's got to be linked through timbre and obviously the storyline. There's the voice there. And down here we've got double bass and strings, so it's more of a low-end section. All right, let's have a little listen. Has passed. Yeah, go back to start. So this comes in quite soon as far as the lyric. Give it all away, but pizzicato. Timpani, I love timpani. So I'd like you to message me if you can spare the time and let me know how this is sounding to you. Let me know your thoughts on form, on rhythm, on melody and harmony. And for those who are musicians, let me know about your approaches to writing. For those of you who are just friends and fans, I hope this is an interesting insight. I am developing a lot of material to actually teach and take out into the world about music, sound and the healing arts, and bringing a lot of that into contemporary composition as well. I'm going to be launching these Therapeutic Soundscapes concerts soon. I also have a gig coming up this Sunday for the Rainforest, in support of the Rainforest Information Centre, so I'm opening, which I deem a great privilege. It's acoustic. I'll be doing a couple of guitar songs, sort of quite revolutionary songs, and it's some poetry, and that's at Hope Street Art Warehouse in Brunswick. Check out my Facebook wall for the details about that, and also my website. And I'm also working on a book. I have the bones for a book, which is part of my major life's work. I don't know how long it's going to take to write, but it's one of those things I must do. I'm not going to give the title because I don't want anyone stealing it. So yeah, I've registered a couple of web domains recently as well, with specific titles relating to my teaching, and I've got a lot of foundational work before I take that out to the public domain. So you'll hear about that. I'll be linking up my therapeutic work more and more with my composition. So I've sort of kept my healing work very separate from my music, but it's time to bring things a bit more together. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and please contact me. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and if the Call of Omar is something that sounds good to you. An alternative version of history is what it is, inspired by Graham Hancock. Alright, much love. Cap out. See ya. And don't forget, you are a valued shipmate. Okay? Alright, see ya. I've got to press stop here, don't I?